welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing that tag that's going around, that palette tag, or the palette tag, that one. The one that was created by Samantha March and Ali Glines. Now, I'm doing this one after seeing my friend Julia from Julia's Bee Beauty do it. I mean, I've seen a number of people do it, but I was talking to her and she kind of tagged me in a private message type of thing. But the version that Julia happened to be doing was one that she saw Jessica Braun doing, and it had a couple of additional questions. So I'm going to do that one as well. I will leave everyone's videos in the description box below, so if you're curious about any of them, be sure to go and check them out. I will also leave the questions in the description box below in case you want to go and do this tag, and that way they are easily accessible to you. So question number 1, show your newest palette. Now I actually got these two at the same time in a subscription box from Bijou Beauty Box, which, side note, my favorite beauty subscription box. You should go and check them out if you like a makeup heavy box. That being said, I got both of these palettes in my box in March, I believe. So they are by Ruby May Cosmetics. This is the Kaleidoscope palette. And it also happens to be in my Shop My Stash this week. And I also have the Festival Days palette. This one is more of a plastic packaging, and it has the removable pans, which I really like in this. So if you want to put them in different things, different palettes, that sort of thing. I almost wish all eyeshadow palettes came that way, just so that if you wanted to arrange them and make your own palettes, it would be so much easier. Instead of buying all new ones all the time, you have stuff like this. You just take them out, pop them into another palette, and, you know, Bob's your uncle, you have a palette that is duping something else that you want. I guess that wouldn't be very great marketing ploy on companies, you know, on their end, because then we wouldn't be buying as much, but I would like it. So anyway, yeah, these are my two newest palettes. Next one, show your oldest palette. Where did it go? Here it is. This is my oldest palette. It is from Almay, and it is the Intense Eye Color Powder Shadow Trio for brown eyes. And I was trying to figure out how old this is. It's like 8 or 9 years old. It belonged to my mother, and she passed away 7 years ago, and she wasn't wearing makeup for that often, or at least buying it that often, for the last little while that she was sick. So I'm guessing at least 8 years old, maybe more. Show your most affordable palette. Okay, that would be the Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells palette, and this is what it looks like. And I think this one, I'm not sure if you can get it anymore, but here in Canada, when I picked it up a few years ago, it was around the $3 mark for this particular palette. And that's $3 Canadian, which is important because I know the e.l.f. mini ones that everyone is showing, they're like, oh, those are $3, but those are $3 US, which end up being slightly more in Canadian dollars. But this was close to $3 Canadian, so cheapest palette. Oh, I'm going out of order. Show your most expensive palette. That would be this one, the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette. Now I have a few that were this price. This was 86 Canadian dollars. And yeah, I do have a few that are kind of in this price range, but they're all discontinued. So I figured I'd go with the one that is not discontinued, and that would be this one. Okay, I'm going to try and get back in order for the questions. Show your everyday palette. And I don't really have an everyday palette. I have many, many palettes, and so I like to cycle through them, and I don't like to reuse them until I've gone through my entire collection, which takes probably at least a year if I am very on top of things. Maybe not quite, but close to a year. Anyway, I don't have an everyday palette that is just, you know, something I love. But I do have this, and it is a Z palette with 9 Makeup Geek shadows in it, and I specifically ordered these shadows to supplement any palettes that I might have that needed transitions and that sort of thing. These do fare on the more warm tone side of things, and I find for myself that's what I gravitate towards. And a lot of times if a palette doesn't have those mattes that I need, this is what I'm going to use anyway instead of a cool tone one. Or if it's something really out there, then I'll pull a different palette that I know might have it. But for the everyday, if I need one, I mean, yeah, this probably gets used every day because the shadow right here is what I'm using to set my eye primer with if there's no brow bone shade or shade to set with in my palette. I could use powder, but I use this, so everyday palette. That was a really long-winded answer for just this. And yet here we are. Show your most colorful palette. So I couldn't really choose one, so I chose three. So the first one I have is the Chocolate Sprinkles, or the Sprinkles palette from Revolution Beauty. I have tons of these palettes. I really enjoy them. Like, not this particular one. I have tons of these I Heart Revolution palettes, and I really do enjoy them. And this is a colorful one, so I thought I would show it because it's affordable. And then I have the Sugar Crystals palette, which I believe is discontinued. It's by Violet Voss. But this one is just so nice if you, here, we'll put it this way. If you want to get into color and you're kind of scared about it, if you're going to do a monochromatic look with color, it's just easier to work with. It's easier to make it look like pretty and that sort of thing. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I'm just saying in general, because you have your matte here and then you can use the colors here. Like, they're cohesive, they're monochromatic, it works. The quality in here is beautiful. I love the shades in this. This is definitely a favorite. And the last one I have here is the Moira Dreamscapes palette, and this is what this one looks like. It's an all matte palette, and while this isn't necessarily one of my favorites, I really do like this palette for doing like one shadow looks. I'll take one bright color and then I'll find a cohesive cream shadow and put that on the lid, and I just find I'm using my cream shadows more because I have this, and I just like the way it looks, and it's easy. Your smallest palette. And as with a lot of people, I have the e.l.f. Bite Size Rosewater palette. Well, not everyone has the Rosewater one, but I do. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is what it looks like. And it's very pretty, and I'm not disappointed in having it. I like it. It's the smallest. Show your biggest palette. Now, for this one, I tried to do what Kyra had done in her video and go by the grams, but I don't keep the boxes and the packaging for my palettes, and a lot of that information's on there. So I just went straight by how many shades are in each palette, and that would go to any of the Morphe 35 pan palettes that I have. This happens to be the 35E, which I believe is discontinued, but I'm showing it to you anyway. I do have about 3 or 4 of these, but this is the one I happen to pull, so that's what I'm showing you, and these would be the biggest ones as far as the most colors of shadows and pans in a palette. Show your palette with the best memory, and for me that would be this one from the Sephora collection. It's the Overcast Filter palette, and this is one my husband bought me for Christmas several years ago. It was the first time he had gone into a Sephora and picked anything out for me, and I thought he did really good. This is a really nice palette. It's pretty good quality. None of these palettes are really ever raved about. Again, discontinued. You can't get it anymore. But I keep it. I really do enjoy it. It's not, you know, it's not super calling to me in the color story or anything, but it's definitely something that I can work with and I can get multiple looks out of. And like I said, it was the first time he took the time to go into Sephora and buy me anything, and so that means a lot, especially because he doesn't do that anymore. He just gets a gift card and calls it a day. So show a palette worth the hype, and for that I picked the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina palette. I feel like this one was talked up a lot when it was first coming out. It was kind of after Subculture. People were wondering about what the quality was going to be like. They were excited about the packaging on it because they thought there would be more purple in it. I'm happy with the amount of purple in it. I really like the colors in here. Out of like this and Modern Renaissance, I much prefer this. So yeah, this I think is worth the hype. Show a palette not worth the hype. Now I know there's going to be some people that don't agree with me on this, and that's okay. I chose the Natasha Denona Mini Star palette. This was my first introduction to Natasha Denona, and let me tell you, it was not a good one. I do not like this palette. I think it's not even worth the $25, and it's not because of the size of it. I think the packaging is okay on it. It is what it is. It's not bad. But out of this palette, I think for me, the only good thing about this palette is the mattes. They're beautiful. They work well. I love the mattes. This middle one here is nice. It's pretty. It's nothing spectacular for me, as you can't even probably see that. But anyway, it's nothing spectacular, and I find with the shimmers especially, none of them translate the way the swatches do to the eyes, which I know happens a lot. But this one, just, no. I couldn't get it to look half as nice as what it does on my finger or a swatch, and that made me mad. It wasn't worth the hype. And this one just plain made me angry because it went on patchy and it didn't lay nicely. It didn't matter how many layers I did. It didn't matter what kind of primer I used. It didn't matter if I used a sticky base. It went on patchy and it was annoying and I didn't like it. And yeah, so the mattes are nice. The middle one's okay. The green and the two end ones, no, not at all. But yet I still went and bought the Sunrise palette anyway. And it's okay. But this, no. I don't like this one. Not worth the hype. Show your favorite palette from a favorite brand. Well, I'm going to give a disclaimer that for today, at this exact moment when I'm filming this, this is what the answer is. This could change in like half an hour, a day from now, a week. I don't know. But for now, this is my answer. So, my favorite brand out of all the palettes that I have, and I mean, I really enjoy a lot of brands that I have, and I support them because if I like them, I keep buying stuff from them, as most of us do. So for me, my favorite brand at this moment, I think would be C Color Cosmetics. They are an affordable brand and their shadow quality is right up there with a lot of the higher end palettes that I have. I haven't been disappointed by any of the ones that I have, and I think I have about 15 of their palettes now. So yeah, I have a lot to choose from and I just like them. They are a company. Now, I know they're a company that's not for everyone because they do come out with dupes for other palettes. And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, I really do like that. I think it's great. So right now, the one that I picked as my favorite would be the Unisex 5. And it's just because of the color story. The quality and all the ones I have is good. But this one just says spring to me. And happy spring, sunshine. And I was out in the sunshine all day today. And so this one is it. Today, right now. Show your most used palette, and that would be the Tarteist Pro palette. It looks like this. And yeah, this would be the most used one that I have. I use this on a lot of clients. It's a go-to palette because it works for a lot of people, and especially the looks that they might want for the different, you know, more subtle glam kind of looks that are out there that people are looking for when they're not like me wanting to splash color and go, you know, really wild with their eyeshadow. That one works. Show your most underrated palette. Now for me, that would be the Anastasia Beverly Hills Carly Bible palette. I know it didn't get the greatest reviews, but I mean, there are quite a few good reviews out there, and I feel like this palette just got overshadowed from, you know, Norvina Geddon or whatever we want to call it back in the fall when, you know, all those big jumbo palettes were coming out. We had the Jackie Aina palette that came out, which is incredible. And then all of a sudden we had this influx of these $80 palettes, at least in Canada, coming out. And then this came out around the same time, and I feel there was so much hype going on with those other palettes that this didn't get the love that it would have gotten otherwise. And yes, some people, it's not their cup of tea, but I really like this palette. I think I said that already. I think it's pretty. I think it's underrated. I know it's been on sale. I think if these are your colors, I think it's worth picking up. And the last question is your favorite palette that is discontinued. And that would be the Desert Mirage by Laka Cosmetics. Laka, what's it called? Laka & Co. And one thing I like about this palette is the outside. It tells the story of what's inside completely. I think that is so well done on their part, even though it's discontinued. You can't get it anymore, but this is what it looks like in the inside. I just find it's a really pretty palette. You can do a few different looks with it. You can go more colorful, you can go more soft, you can go more bold. You got a lot of different styles you can do with it with only a 9-pan palette, and the quality in here is really nice too. So I'm sorry you can't get it anymore. I know I haven't really ever heard anyone else really talk about it. I got it in a subscription box, and I'm so glad I did because this was really good, or is really good. And those are all my answers for this particular palette tag, which I'm not even sure what it's called, but it will be on the title of this video. Now at this particular moment, I would take the time to tag some other people to do this video tag. However, I feel I'm probably one of the last people on YouTube to have gotten it done. So if you haven't yet, and I am ahead of you in the race, tag, you are it. It is your turn. I would love to see you do it. Yeah. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of my answers. Is there anything that you completely disagree with, or, you know, you're like, yeah, I can see that. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.